There's always something about self help. They teach you to be independent, but they just miss one step, which is man is made to depend on something. You exactly cannot navigate life completely on your own. So, who approved this version of adulthood? When you find out, please let me know. Anyway, this is where we laugh, overthink, ask hard questions, and figure life out together with an awareness of God. I am Prince Achon, and this is Control Plus Life Pod. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to this week's episode of Control Plus Life Podcast. We need drum rolls because today something very exciting is happening. Um, First thing is that we are recording a video pod today. So, you two people, I'm sorry about last week, but this week we have a video episode which is quite nice, and I'm quite excited about that because I've missed. Okay, no, that it doesn't work. I cannot say I've missed seeing your face because like I've not been seeing your face, but I've just missed recording a video podcast episode. If you're wondering what this thing in my hand is, if I even tell you what it is supposed to be, you're not going to believe. So I've just decided to use that this microphone accessory. Let me tell you what's supposed to be. You two people can see this. Um, I ordered this stuff from Timu, and it's supposed to be a floor mat. Yeah, like a floor mat, like floor mat now. Floor mat, actual floor mat. Anyway, yeah. Wait till my eye don't see mouth no fit talk. Let me just use it as a microphone accessory, I beg. All right. Then that's not the only thing I ordered from Timu. I ordered some stuff. Like I like to order things on Timu, but this particular one, two out of the things I ordered did not come, or maybe I did not take note of these measurements. I don't know because this is not my first time ordering on Timu, and then I always check the measurements. But this particular one, I think they just deceived me. That's the thing. They just deceived me because when I checked the pictures, it had pictures of like this floor mat on a floor. So I felt like, oh, even if it's small, it's not be too tiny. This doesn't even belong. And they didn't even write anything like miniature or I was like, when I saw it, I couldn't even be angry. I was just laughing. I was like, wow, wow. I guess if it never happens to you, you keep saying people don't check. But you will not know that. It can be you. It can really be you. So yeah, that's then the second exciting thing is our background. You see, is different. It's different from how it used to be. Although I've not finished renovating my room, I'm renovating my room. I just painted it white, so the background looks a bit different today. That's quite nice, That's quite nice and exciting. It looks a bit different today, but by next week, hopefully, fingers crossed, there'll be frames on the wall, so we'll have a better look, and we'll also have an extra source of light so that my face can be brighter. But I didn't want to wait till everything was complete before recording. How are you? How are you doing? How was your week last week? What were you up to? How have you been? Have you been resting? How is work going for those of you that are working? For students, how are you enjoying your holiday? Except you're a medical student, how is your preparation for your exams going? Or if you're currently writing exams, how have they been? Basically, how are you doing? I want to know how you're doing. I need to confess now. I didn't check my mail last week, so I might have missed your message if you sent a mail. But I checked my other of my platforms like Instagram and every other one I checked, but for the email I didn't. So if you sent an email, I'm sorry. I didn't check my mail last week at all. Last week was a pretty good week. Several things happened. Let me just tell you one little joy that I've been enjoying since the last time we spoke. The little joy is I have been enjoying styling my hair. I know that's such a random thing, but you guys, I was styling my hair yesterday or today. I'm not sure which day it was. And I was just singing this song. If a
If
voice
the voice
starts to
starts to
whisper,
whisper,
to
follow
follow
the
the
northern
northern
star.
star. Then that
One other
Moana song,
voice
Moana,
inside
that
is
voice
who
inside is
you
who you are. But this
are.
time around, I was saying that if I'm to create a content like that, all right, if a voice starts to whisper that you should get French curls, that voice inside is who you are. Because, gosh, and this is not my first time having French curls, but I don't know if it's the color or the style I chose. Because the first time I did French curls, I did this Fulani braids thing. But this time around that I did braids, I have the luxury of what now? Versatility. Because I can style it anyhow I want. I can literally style it anyhow I want. And it's just nice. Every day I wake up, I'm like, what do I want to do to my hair today? How do I want to style my hair today? But this was how I styled it to church today. And I really liked it. In fact, before settling for this one, I did one that I really loved, but I just had to change the style because of the outfit I was wearing. You know how certain hairstyles go better with certain outfits? That was what it was. So, you guys, quick one. At the back of this phone, there's a picture. So I keep looking at the picture instead of the camera itself. It's so funny. I keep looking at the picture, but I'll try to stay focused. So yeah, then what else have I been enjoying this week? I've just been enjoying taking one day at a time and also trusting God, which is so funny because that was today's message in church, today's sermon. It was just about trust. And I think it's such an important thing to trust God. There's something profound my pastor in church said today. He was saying how when you grow into adulthood, there are books that you see and they are called maybe self-help books or self-help journals or self-help. There's always something about self-help. And he was saying that they teach you to go from a place of being a child as a young person. You grow up and then they teach you to be independent, but they just miss one step, which is actually teaching you to now depend on God. Because when you were younger, you just depended on your guardian or your parents or the people who raised you, right? And then at the point you grow up into adulthood, where now you are to stop depending on those people entirely, and now you are now an adult, but man is made to depend on something. So if you don't depend on the people who raised you, of course, and you don't depend on, and you're now depending on just yourself, it will get overwhelming because you are not the maker of your life and you exactly cannot navigate life completely on your own. And I was just saying that that's one step that self help this self-help movement misses. And I think it's so real because we have a lot of young people who have lost themselves, right, by just wanting to try, to be honest. You see everybody, like somebody wakes up one day and you go to work and you're trying to do things. Why? Because you just want to make meaning out of your life. But it can get frustrating when you try so hard to make meaning out of your life and it just feels like, wait, what exactly am I doing? Like, when does it actually get better? When do I feel like I now know what I'm doing? When do I have it figured out? when when will I be assured that things will work out for me or that I'm on the right path? We just have several questions like that. And I think the point is we never know. Like, easy answer is that we never know. Because the only thing that we know, especially as, okay, look at me now as a believer, one thing that I know for sure is that Jeremiah 29 verse 11 says, the plans God have for me are to give me a hope and a future. And that's the only thing I can hold on to until, yes, eventually my life will make sense. Eventually, meaning will come out of my life. Eventually, God will not mismanage my life. But that's me because I have a God in whom I can put my trust. But for an average Nigerian or an average person, let me never say Nigerian because it's not limited to location. But just for an average person, the thing is they don't really know because they just have to keep trying. So you just see people that say, "Oh, just don't give up." we have heard quotes like that where people say, "Oh, now anybody will give up, now he mess up," like things like that. And while that is true, in and of yourself, you cannot really bring meaning out of your life. Or maybe that's a wrong statement. You can bring meaning out of your life, but it will not bring the satisfaction that you will get in knowing what your purpose is and actually living life to fulfill your purpose. When you're fulfilling purpose, there is a sense of satisfaction, a sense of fulfillment that comes with that. And I think that was just the highlight of today's sermon for me, because it has just been sort of like the highlight of my life. Because I remember resuming school the last time I came home. It was still during second semester, so it was not the start of the semester. It was a point in the semester. I was resuming, and I was walking down my estate to take a bus to the park where I will now take a bus to my school, right? And while I was on my way at the bus stop, the Lord just dropped it in my heart, and I just heard the Lord tell me or whisper to me, and it was like, "Praise, I want you to trust me." And in that moment, I didn't really know what he was asking of me, because I was like, "But I do trust you." And then he was like, he wanted me to trust him. And for weeks, and it just time just kept going, and I really wanted to understand what God meant by I want you to trust me. And that day, what happened was, when I was leaving my house, I thought I left my inhaler at home. Do you get? Because I searched for it and I didn't see it. So I was like, "Oh my God, I've left my inhaler and everything." And then that thought dropped, those words dropped in my heart. I wanted to trust me. And I was like, "Oh my God, what does that look like?" And even though in the moment I didn't really know what it looked like, weeks later, I understood what God was asking of me. And even though that was in relation to my health and just trusting God when it comes to healing, I grew to a point where I didn't want to be without my inhaler, because medically and logically, you shouldn't be without your inhaler if you're diagnosed with asthma. But for me, I think God just wanted me to see that there is a possibility of healing. And I'm not saying this from a place of insensitivity, because I know that there are people who trust God and believe in God, and they still deal with asthma. So of course, I'm not trying to discredit any other person, but all I'm trying to say is that because I had been praying for healing and I've been trusting God in this area of my life, I just felt like God wanted me to, if I'm trusting him, he wanted me to really lean on him. He wanted me to really, really trust in him and believe that, oh, this particular thing can be dealt with. So currently I can't remember which day it was exactly, but it's been almost 3 months and I've not used my inhaler. And this might sound like, it's just 3 months, it's just 3 months. But I don't think that way, because with the level of exposure, I'm in Lagos, there is dust, there is smoke, there is gas, there are so many things that are polluting the air. And I've not felt a trigger. I've not felt an attack coming. None of those. Like today, something even reminded me of it, right? In church, sometimes they do this thing where they use air fresheners just so that the church can have a a pleasant smell. And then normally when they use the air fresheners, I always struggle and they will have to change my seat. But today, one of the ushers used it and she used it severally. And I could perceive it so much, but it didn't even affect me at all. And in that moment, I was just smiling. And it was just like a God thank you moment for me, because I know how many years I spent praying away asthma. Like I prayed and prayed and prayed. At a point, I'll pray, I'll give up, and I'll be like, "Oh, maybe it's not good, Jerry. Maybe it's just one of those things I'll have to deal with." But God is faithful and God is kind. So I think for me, that's what this season of my life has been about. And something else that's a testimony. I said I've started renovating my room. And what's funny is I always wanted to renovate my room. And I just been thinking about it, like, oh my God, I need to renovate the space. I want the space to look more like better and good and all of those. And somebody reached out to me, a friend of mine, she reached out to me and she's like, "Oh, I want to get you a wallpaper for your wall so that you can put it on your wall and your wall will look, more presentable and all of that because I know that you create content." And I was like, "Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you," because the wall had stains. And then I just felt very touched by it. And I was like, "Wow, that's very kind of you." And I was happy. And she actually bought me the wallpaper. And before the wallpapers came, someone else called me, reached out to me, and we're just speaking and talking. And she's like, "Oh, your content creation and everything and everything." And we're just talking. And she's like, "Okay, how about you re- um, renovate your space, sort of?" And I was like, "Oh, I know. I ordered wallpaper already and all of that." And got so kind. We spoke for a bit. And long story short, she's like, "Okay, I'm going to send my painter and they're going to paint your room white." And I didn't even know how to feel in that moment. I felt very happy and grateful. But again, I felt like, wow, God, you really are intentional about me. Because the wallpaper, I would have just covered one part of my wall. And then God, it just felt like God saying, can you see the big picture? There is something bigger, if only you can see it. And it just felt so good. And in that moment, I just felt very grateful. And now my room has been painted. This same person told me, "Oh, I'm going to print you, I'm going to get you frames for your wall and a strip lights just to make it look again better." And I was like, wow, that's really kind of you. And then now I'm just thinking of, oh, okay, if I've painted my room and I'm going to get the frames delivered this week, there'll be strip lights delivered as well. And that's like really kind of, I'm like, okay, what else can I do to elevate my space? I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll just get a vanity, like a dressing table kind of thing, and a bed stand. Because after switching my bed in my room to a bigger bed, we haven't been using the bed stand because obviously it's not going to fit. So we have now been using just the bed on the floor, right? Like that, right? It's a the bed is a bit high, but you get what I mean. So I was like, oh, I'll just get a bed stand and make it look better. But all I'm saying is that the progression has just been God saying, I've got you. You just have to trust that I hear the whispers of your heart. You have to trust that I have you, your best interest at heart, and I'm going to see to it that you get everything you need. And I think that's basically it sums up our relationship with God. Last week we are talking about how God sees us as his children, the story of the prodigal son, and how the father ran to meet his son, regardless of how lackadaisical the child has been. And I'm just like, today I'm not even talking from a place of, oh, maybe we're seeing that we're going back to God, but just from a place of daily living and a place of daily existing is how that the Lord cares for us. It's how that He has our best interest at heart. It's how that there is nothing that you need that you won't get because you have the Lord as your father. And it's such a blessing. And I'm also very grateful for the local assembly that I'm in. I love how that house grounds me so much. Oh my God. And it's so funny. I've been leaving church later recently before because service closed before 12, and normally I'm out of there like once service is over, I'm out of there. But recently I've been leaving very late. Today I even left church past 3 past 3 p.m., which is a new record because I usually leave church very early, but today we just spent time with, we did a publicity, but apart from the publicity, I just spent time with my siblings in Christ, and it was just such a blessing. We're talking about life, not just church, or we're just talking about each other, life, and it was just good. It was such a blessing, especially because I've been looking to be more active and more outspoken, and also build more relationships, especially with my church fam, because that is one house that the Lord has really, really, really blessed me with. And I'm just grateful, to be fair. I'm just very grateful. So yeah, I don't necessarily have a topic for today, but I think we've talked about trust, and that will probably just be the podcast episode for today. Um updates on my week. I said I wanted to be focused on the Lord this week. And to be honest, I think I did a pretty good job at that. I was able to be very consistent with my devotionals and my prayer, fellowship time, all of those. It was really good. I really loved it. This week, what do I have to do this week? This week I have to follow up on two things. One has to do with a job. The second one has to do with the job that I'm currently working on. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm hoping to have a very good week. I hope you also have a very, very good week as well. Okay, there's something else I want to do this week. I'll tell you next week. I'll tell you about it next week because I think it needs me to talk about it. It might just even be the focus of next week's episode. I hope it's not, to be honest, but if it is, it's not going to be a bad thing, to be honest. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Control Plus Life Pod. If this is your first time seeing me, my name is Praise Achom, and I'm the host for this beautiful Gen Z pod. Sometimes, yeah, you guys, I wonder if this podcast is really doing what it should be doing. Of course, like I understand that the topics, the title or the episode focuses. What am I saying? The episode focus usually like it fits the title of the podcast, which is Control Life, right? However, it's a Gen Z podcast. I'm like, do we need to talk about more Gen Z stuff? So now this is me putting it out to you. What kind of content, what kind of episodes do you guys want to hear or see? What topics are you interested in? Should we talk about whatever? Do you want guests? Should we just keep doing it, just both of us, just you and I mean, or do you want guests? What topics interest you? What would you like to hear? Or do you just like hearing like bits and pieces of what's my thought process and the meditations of my heart has been? Or do you want us to talk about more specific topics? Just let me know. I would love to hear about them, and I would also love to talk about those things because sometimes, as much as I enjoy talking, I struggle with things to talk about sometimes. So if I just come up and I'm just yapping, it's easier because I'm yapping. So whatever I get to yap about works. But if you suggest some topics, it will still be a yap essentially, but to be a yap with structure. Do you even get that? So yeah, that's basically it. I hope you go into this week trusting the Lord, not trusting the Lord only when times are difficult or tough. Even when things are easy, you have to trust in the Lord. It's something Pastor Laulu said today. He was saying how if we take trusting in the Lord as something we do when things are difficult or when we're faced with tough situations, when things are easy, you would slowly stop trusting in the Lord without realizing. Do you get that? So things are good. Your mind is not going to, oh my God, let me trust the Lord for journey mercies because you are the one driving. You feel like, should I'll drive carefully. Or you can easily go shopping and not check your bank account. You feel like, that's good. I mean, I can do it. Now it makes it difficult when something big, like you have to make a big purchase and you don't have the money for it. Now it'll be more difficult to trust the Lord in that situation because you're used to doing it from the abundance of your pockets. Do you get it now? So he was just saying how important it is that we trust the Lord even with the littlest things. For example, you are going out. Oh, I trust that I'm going to get to where I'm going safely. I trust that the Lord is going to order my steps. I trust that my heart is guarded as I step into the world, regardless of the noisiness of the day. I trust that the Lord will keep me. Okay, things at work are not working and you're anxious. I trust that the Lord will keep me in perfect peace because scripture says the Lord will keep in perfect peace those whose hearts are stayed on Him. Trusting God with the little things helps you to trust God with the bigger things. So, yes, I hope you go into this week trusting the Lord. And I would like to hear about how you're doing and every other thing that's going on in your life. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to share this podcast episode with a friend or 10 or 100 friends. I would really, really appreciate it. Make sure you like, make sure you comment for YouTube, or send a mail or send a message on my social media at Praisatrom on any of the platforms, or send me email ctrl.life.pa@gmail.com. That's the email address. And yes, please give this podcast a 5-star rating on Spotify and follow if you haven't followed. I'll see you on next week's episode. Bye. So, who approved this version of adulthood? When you find out, please let me know. Anyway, this is where we laugh, overthink, ask hard questions, and figure life out together with an awareness of God. I am Praise Achon, and this is Control Plus Life Pod.